Welcome to the Writer Reads Flash Fiction from another 365 days of flash fiction. Month 5, Day 25. Havelock Lives. Havelock shivered in the rain, each cold drop a reminder he was alive, each cold drop reminding him how much he wished he wasn't, even while he had to be. He dropped into a crouch and duck-walked into the bushes edging the security fence. Idiots, he muttered, finding the drainage ditch and duck-walking under the fence and into the base. As soon as he was through, he eeled along the bottom of the ditch, keeping his head well below the top until he reached the shuttle pad, and the shuttle warming its engines atop it. The shuttle carrying what he'd come for. Taking a breath, Havelock hauled himself out of the ditch and belly-crawled into the shuttle pad's shadow. He waited until he felt the warm breeze from the engines, then bobbed up to take a look around. The blaster muzzle that greeted his eyes was unexpected. Move. The barrel jerked up, and Havelock climbed onto the shuttle pad. The gunman retreated, but her aim didn't waver. Up! Havelock raised his hands, lunged forward under the barrel, sweeping it aside and up as she fired, and cursing softly as the blaster left a series of gouges in the shuttle's hull. He gripped the guard's wrist, twisting the weapon from her hand and driving the butt into her face, before reversing the weapon and shooting her in the chest. The shooting had drawn attention, and already he could hear shouts from the next shuttle over. But that one wasn't warming its engines, and its guard had to cross several yards to reach him. He scrambled into the waiting craft, hurled the pilot out of the cockpit, and rammed a connection into the controls. He lifted hard and fast and hoped the craft would hold together until retrieval, because she wasn't going to hold together much after. It took the other shuttle time to follow, which wasn't a surprise. The fast attack boat that rose from the roof of one of the hangars was, and it took everything Havelock had to evade it. There was no way known he was letting the cargo fall into their hands a second time. He wouldn't live through the explosion, but the stasis pods would survive and... Not gonna happen, he growled, rolling the shuttle out of another line of fire and almost broadsiding the waiting ship. Cut your engines! The order snapped through his focus, and he obeyed. Not many voices he'd trust like that, but this one? Sinead had never let him down. Always a first time, he thought, banishing the idea as quickly as it had come. He cut the engines and swore as silver light wrapped the ship. God damn it! Sinead knew how dangerous that maneuver was. Warping in 5, 4, 3, 2. Havelock was still swearing when the warp was done, and he was still in the cockpit when Sinead and the squad arrived to retrieve the cargo. You right, bro? Sinead asked, startling Havelock by dropping a hand to his shoulder. Havelock tilted his head, taking in his friend with a sidelong glance. Pods okay? Pods are fine. Shuttle won't fly again. Sinead sobered, worry colouring his expression. You up for this? Havelock swallowed hard and pulled himself out of the chair, reluctantly releasing his connection to the shuttle. I don't know. Then let's pull her out and see. He was out of the cockpit and shuttle before Havelock could find the words to call him back. Havelock scrambled after him, legs still wobbly from the warp. Shen, what? The words died in his throat. Sinead had caught up with the pods and ordered them set on the ground. It'd be better if we did this in medical, one of the men protested, but Sinead merely laid his hand on top of the pod and shook his head. No, it wouldn't. He tapped the pod lid. Get her out. Havelock froze. Memory made his rain-soaked clothing feel warm. Sinead stepped away from the pod, moving slowly back toward Havelock. But Havelock wasn't going anywhere. He'd locked eyes on the pod and didn't look like he could move. He still hadn't moved when its incumbent emerged, slow and disoriented at first, but rapidly sizing up her situation as her gaze flicked around the hangar. When it flicked across Havelock, she exploded into action, felling the soldier closest with a hard-swung fist and maneuvering toward him. As soon as the others backed up, she hurried to stand in front of him, gripping the front of his fatigues with both hands. Locke? Her voice trembled. You okay? When he didn't respond, she shook him. Locke, are we okay? And that was all it took. Havelock wrapped her in his arms and held her close. maybe being alive wasn't going to be so bad after all.